Looking for clarity and confidence when it comes to decision making for your business? You've come to the right place. You're now listening to the Atomic Business Coaching Podcast.
Well, damn, that went fast, didn't it, Tom?
Yes, it did. It flew by, man. Flew by.
Summer's over. Summer is over. Man.
Back to reality.
What's the problems with transition? You know, you've always been really good with seasons in people's lives, right? And now we're talking about an actual season, but these actual seasons change in your life too, and your business. And, you know, especially for business owners, is now they have to change their whole schedule if they have children. And, you know, a lot of them went through and said, summer's slow. And now like, oh my God, I don't have that excuse anymore. So why don't you give us a little, you know, what's going on with changes and that? Why is this what it is?
You know, I think we're all creatures of habit, right? We go to elementary school, we go to middle school, we go to high school, and we're built on a school schedule. September to June is our life, right? And I think we're so used to that. And when we go out and get careers and jobs and businesses, we still have to work in June, July, and August. And we take the excuse, oh, it's the summer, right? And we talked about this in the previous episode about the slow season. But I always enjoy September and the excuses that come in September because, yeah, the summer was the slow season, but September is, oh, we're getting adjusted back to school and the routines.
Right.
And everybody's just full of shit at that point. Like, people realize time does not stand still. You're still progressing, and don't make up. Yeah, school started back. Yeah, you got to readjust because you just had 2 months of doing nothing. Like, get back into it, man. Let's go. Let's get back on the routine. I mean, the only routine I lose in the summer is that I don't have to pick the kids up from school and drop them off in the morning, right? So I take some liberties. I don't have to go out for a walk as early. I don't have to do certain things as early. But I'm actually excited to get back to that because I need that push, right?
Yeah, me too, actually. You know, it's funny, I have the same thing. I sat on the other night at dinner and I asked my wife, like, okay, because they changed our kids' school schedule. And I'm like, what is it? So just so you know, Tom, I used to be able to meet at 3. Now I can't meet till 3:15 because they moved my daughter's schedule out. But, excuse me. But I can drop them off earlier too. So actually my kids, unfortunately, they go in earlier and they stay later now. They added hours to the day.
Oh, that's not fun.
Sucks for them.
Wow, but that must have been some contract with the teachers too. Holy cow.
Well, I mean, I think we gave them an extra $12 million.
Well, is that why the budget took so long to pass?
That's why the budget failed the first time. We had to go back. They did it again. They eliminated a lot of stuff like the junior high. They only have 1 baseball team, not 2 now. So, you know, they took liberties to cut things because they didn't want to pay for the extra buses and bus drivers and coaches. Yep. But, yeah, teachers are good at, their union's good at negotiation. So,
exactly.
Luckily, that's because I'm not involved with it. But anyway, if I was involved on that, come on, let's go. I had one of my friends was on the board and he tried, but it's tough. That's a tough thing, you know, and teachers deserve money, but not at the expense of our children. So,
exactly.
The way they compromise is there's a little extra time, right? A little earlier, they stay a little later. But now I can drop my child off earlier, which her drop off was really difficult for me. Okay, because it was like 8:50 and I couldn't drop her off till like 8:40. So it's like, it just messed a lot of things up. Now I can drop her off at 8:30.
Ah, okay.
Which that means I could be at the gym at 8:45, right? Which means I could be in the shower by 9:45, which means I can be here helping people at 10 when it used to be 11.
Right.
And it was like, so it opens that stuff up. Now, as I'm talking to you all, I'm excited about this change, right? Mm-hmm. Most people aren't excited about the change. And if you have never read the book, Who Moved My Cheese, I would highly recommend it. You know, they use these mice as analogies, and it's frickin', frackin', hem and haw, right? And like, who's going to get the cheese? Yeah. What is it?
Sniff and scurry, not frickin' frack. Sniff and scurry.
Sniff and scurry and hem and haw?
Yeah, hem and haw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was frickin' frack, but sniffing, I was close enough. But the point is, the whole story is all about how to deal with change, right? And the only constant is change. And I'm sure you've heard that cliche, that platitude many, many, many times, but it's true, right? Is that the only thing that keeps happening is change, and death and taxes, right? But change. And we have to get to the point where it's no longer an excuse, right? We have to find ways to find that as an opportunity. Like I literally just did a minute ago, like, I get to go to the gym earlier. And I told Tom, hey, we can't meet till 3:15. But guess what? That change that seems like an obstacle now may actually be an advantage to me. Maybe I'll get some extra thing that I'm unaware of yet. But if we don't start looking at change as opportunity, then we're gonna hem and haw like those mice do, right? We're gonna complain about it. We're gonna give excuses. We're gonna find reasons not to make this an advantage in our life and in our business.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
What you're really hitting on is, how your level of consciousness is, right? Do you see the world happening to you or for you? Right. And when you see the world happening as something that happens for you, you can see all the opportunities because you're in this learner mindset and you recognize the change is constant and there's never going to be a perfect time to do something. And that's what I think people do is we put up these obstacles, we create these excuses because we're waiting for this perfect time to do something. And this September, when we start school in the Northeast, some places already started school in mid to late August already. But when we look for September to come around, it's like that change button. I can make a change now because it's a new school year and we can have to make adjustments. And sometimes when change is imposed upon us, it causes us to also make other changes that we want to make, like you just talked about. I mean, that's what transition is about, is finding the opportunities in the change that may be imposed versus the change that you're electing to put into your life versus.
Well, let's talk about that because
light bulb.
Here's the thing with change. There are things that are in your control and out of your control, right? Like I can't control when my daughter is going to go to school, but I can control what I do with that information.
Correct.
Right. And that's the key thing is people typically fight up against change because they didn't decide it, but you can decide what to do with it. We had a great gentleman named Matt Hanley. He's a world-renowned DJ. He has some pretty incredible music that you would know if you heard it. And he's also a Vedic meditation master. He went up in the mountains for I don't know how long, but a much longer time than I would, and practiced and became a master at this. And he's a corporate lawyer, like the guy is a Renaissance man. And he came in and he was telling our members in Project 2740, that's our community for small business owners, he was telling them about how meditation is and what you should do. And what we started to talk about was stress. And he had a really profound way of describing it because he's like, all stress is information, and then we get to choose what we do with it. And if you start to look at that, because that's what many people are doing, is they're stressing about this change. And all it is information, right? Okay, children's school schedule changed. Now what am I going to do with it? Well, it only becomes that quote unquote stress, like negative, because a lot of people put a negative connotation on stress. That negative stress, if we just go along with it and have, this is mad, that's not good. I wish I could, all these things, right? But if you take that information and then choose what to do with it, you can actually eliminate the stress or make it into a positive stress. And that's really what the point of all this is that how are you choosing to deal with the change? Right? Because you are the only one that chooses what to do with the change. You may not choose the change, but you can choose what to do with it. Yeah. And the more that you can actively participate in your own life's decision-making, the better off you will be.
I think that's what most people struggle with when it comes to change is they don't see that they have a choice, that they have control over how they decide to implement that change in their life or utilize that change to better their life, right? Like when, like you just said, listen, you can't control that your daughter's schedule now is 8:30 when it used to be 7:50. But look at the positive response you're having to it. It actually works out better for you. When we take control of the change and by taking control of how we respond to it, we're going to find those things that benefit us and recognize that it really did happen for us. Right? Our first reaction may be, oh man, the damn school, they changed this and they had to do that and that messes up my morning and now I can't do this or this. But wait a second, hold on. I can go and do this and I can still do this because I'm going to get an earlier start on my day anyway. Right? So it's how does it benefit you? But when you look at it from a level of consciousness where it's happening to you and you victimize yourself, you close yourself off from all the possibilities that are really right in front of you that you just are blind to see. And that's the thing that a lot of people, when they fear transition and going through these changes, is because they don't see the other side of it yet. And Adam, you use that word often, yet, because it really keeps us in a growth mindset. It hasn't happened yet. When you start to look at transition and seasons of transition, whether it comes to you because it's actually a season of change, like going from summer to school, back to school, or it's, you lost a job and now you want to do something else, or even something changed in your business. Maybe your partner left, or you lost a valuable employee. There's all these transitions, but they all provide opportunity. I was working with a client earlier that they run a huge mechanical business in Wisconsin, and I was talking to him. He was like, I was really stressed, and I work with him for relationship issues. And he says, I'm so stressed about losing this client. And I'm like, what are you stressed about? That just means there's new room for a new client that's going to be bigger and better than this client. And you got to look at the opportunity that it presents. But it's a major transition when you've been used to this, right? And what are transitions really? They are coming out of comfort zones. They are changing that place where we live in summer all summer long. We're in the comfort zone of summer. Now we all have to come out of that comfort zone and move into what's the new school year going to be like. Right. And as your kids get older, they get stressed about different things in school. As you get closer to college, there's different stresses that come up. And every year is a new adventure, and you never know how it's going to be, what the teachers are going to be like, and what the academics are going to be like this year, and what classes they're taking. My son's taking these incredible classes that I never had. But it's like, okay, what's this all going to be about? And there's some trepidation and some fear about what this is going to result in. But we have to look for what are the opportunities that are going to come from it.
So that's really in the change that's thrust upon you. But let's talk about a different change. There's a whole nother side to that coin. You can choose the changes you want to have happen. Okay. You can decide, here's what I'm going to change. And you may decide, I'm going to change the business that I'm in. You may decide, I'm going to change the geographical location I live in. You can change simple things of just internal in your business or your work of what you do. Like, I'm going to do these things in the AM now instead of in the PM. One of the things that I did many, many years ago is I decided everybody else, the end of their year was December 31st. And I decided the end of my year is Thanksgiving. I made a decision that my year was over. I could not produce anymore after Thanksgiving. Now, that didn't mean I took December off. It meant I was in a different phase.
Right.
And really, December, I was focused on January. And any of you who are business owners or salespeople, you could steal this if you want. I would close everybody in December. Now, I still had to facilitate some paperwork or whatever to have it paid. But I spent all of December handling an objection that most people give. I'll talk to you after the new year. I'll talk to you after the holidays. Right. So I would start the conversation with, hey, Tom, really great to talk to you. I'm excited for the next steps we're going to do. But I would rather do this after the holidays, after the new year. So how do you feel about setting something up for the second week of January? And they would feel relieved. Oh, yeah, that's great. Let's do that. And my Januaries were flooded to a point. There was one point in my career, I think it was 2013 or 14, when by February, I hit all the numbers I had to. The whole year was done by February because I took that December to really build everything up. Right. So I decided I'm going to make this change. Now, it didn't mean I only had 11 months. It means my new year started December 1st. And it was it's just a different change and a different opportunity, a different way of looking things. And this is what I mean by you're in control of what you change is you can start to pick and choose. My son is meeting with a registered dietitian, and he is deciding to change what he puts on his plate. And it's funny, he messaged, I'm in a group text with the three of us, and he messaged him this morning. He's like, it's really funny that ever since I started working with you, I stopped snacking as much. And he had this realization of he talked to me in the kitchen today. He's like, Dad, I'm not hungry. And that's because he was putting food in his body that had no sustenance, right? And it was it was just mouth pleasure. It wasn't fuel.
Yeah. Yep.
And he came to this realization because he started changing what he's doing. And now I'll find out next week. Is he committed to this change or not? Is he interested or is he committed? Right. We'll find that out. But the idea is he decided, when I offered him this, I said, do you want to do it? I'm not going to make you do anything. He's like, no, I want to do this. And he did his onboarding questionnaire and it was amazing. I was so proud of him when he gave the answers because there were things he wanted to change. And the number one thing he wanted to change was to eliminate most of the soreness. He's a catcher and he always tells me his core and his legs are hurting and it prevents his sleep and throws his whole day off. And that's one of the main things. And when he found out he could do a lot of that through what does he put in his body before the game and after the game, he was like amazed. But he decided to make these changes, not me, not the dietitian, not anybody else. And now that he has chosen that, he has a better life. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're saying is you can have a better life. You can have a more productive business. You can have simpler ways of doing things if you decide what you want to change and then take the action necessary. And yeah, it's hard to do that. And that's why we are coaches, right? We help people to go through and do that, whether it's one-on-one or in our group coaching, but it's hard. That's why I hired a coach for my son, because it's hard. But
you bring it up.
The choice, right? The choice of like, what Correct. Do I want to change is the key.
Well, I think it's also the choice and it's the level of motivation. Like right now, Tyler is very motivated to make these changes, but what's reinforcing that motivation is that he's seeing the benefits already, right? And that's what a lot of people need to see when they go to make changes. They want that instant result and they want that instant noticeable difference in what they're doing. And when they get that, it continues to motivate them. However, when change is slower, when change takes more time, people are much more likely to drop what they're doing, right? We talk about January being a busy month for coaches. Why is it? Because especially for life coaches, it's a busy month because everybody is in that New Year's resolution state, right? In the first 19 days of the new year, people are motivated to make a change, but they're not really motivated to make a change. They just want to sometimes say it for the sake of saying it that they want to. But those that really commit to it have a motivation to do it, and they know that it's going to be a bit of a journey. When you approach things as this is a transition, and I know it's going to take a minute, you're less likely to become frustrated in that first week or two. When you recognize that this is going to take time. When you don't set the right expectation for that change, then you drop it and it never happens. And it's like, that's not going to work. And that's not going to be something I'm going to be able to do, right? So it depends on a level of motivation. It depends on how important that change is to you, but why it's important. This is where intention is critical. And when change is imposed on us, where we don't have the control, when we take the control back, we have to set an intention for what we want out of this experience. Why should we go through this change that was imposed on us? What will be the benefits? Why should I do this? And remember to set the intention, because at the end of the day, if you have no intention, the change is useless. What's the point of it? But if you set an intention and you recognize you have the control in setting that intention of why you want to do this and why you want to get something out of it or what you want to get out of it, it's going to change the level of success that you have in implementing that change.
Love it, Tom. All right, let's wrap this up. How would you pull all this together so they can walk away and actually either do something or remember something or change their lives? Haha.
No, I think what we have said the whole time is recognize that you control it. Change happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. And the more that you recognize that it happens for you, the better off you're going to be, the more success you're going to have, and the more you're actually going to learn.
Nice stuff, pal. Check out Project 2740. Come on, folks. Atomic Business Coaching. Go to our website. There's a thing in there that says Project 2740, or you can go on school.com, type in Project 2740, see what we're doing. It's a lot of fun. We're changing lives every single day. Bye.